Oh. Almost lost a nail. What's up guys, cycling fanatics! Back into race mode. It's Saturday morning, 10:30, March 10th, and I'm on my way to The Hague. That's in the south of Holland, because today I'm racing a road race, another road race. This is the Ronde van Zuid, Holland, the race of South Holland. It's a 170 kilometer road race. Last week I raced the STRAVA van Zwolle, which is a very prestigious, notorious race. First race of the season, brutal conditions, -6, very windy, was super cold. There were a lot of continental teams present there, and because this is the first race of the year, everybody is very nervous. Today, I don't know how it's gonna be. For me, everything this year is gonna be the first time, so we'll see what happens. The start is at 1 o'clock. And the weather today is so much better than last week. It's actually warm. It's 14 degrees Celsius right now, so it's probably going to be short pants and maybe some arm sleeves. The length is about the same as last week, so that's going to be roughly the same. There is 5 continental teams in this race, and the rest are club teams. Total riders are 155. This road race is a separate road race, so it's not part of any competition. So just racing today for a single result. Last week I really raced to finish the race. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I did pretty good. I finished and I had a lot of extra experience. My personal goal of last race was to finish and learn. Personal goal of this race is to stay in front a little bit more, because last race I ended up in the 2nd or 3rd group every time there was a crosswind and echelons were forming. Because I was in the peloton a little bit too far back, I ended up in the 2nd or in the 3rd group, and we had to close that gap over and over again. So in this race I'll try to stay in front a little bit more. Now, I haven't talked to the team yet, so I'm not sure what the actual team plan is gonna be. I've got my own personal learning goals, and then we'll discuss the actual goal of the race with the team. All right, today I'm number 62. Bike's right there, gonna pin it to the bike. We still have 2 hours to go until the race starts, so plenty of time. Get everything ready, race wheels, get the right tire pressure, get the numbers, prepare some food and drinks for the race. Well, we don't really need a warm-up. It's a long race with a neutralized start, so really long warm-up is not really necessary. Kijk, we gaan. Everybody's getting ready. Change into my racing gear. Numbers pinned on the back. We'll have a little team meeting, discuss what the tactics will be of today. The weather is super nice. It's actually warm, so that's really good. The roads might be a little wet on certain places, but the forecast is later in the day a little bit of rain, so we'll see how that's gonna go.
Maar vanaf Zoetermeer is het gewoon opletten geblazen en vanaf 63 kilometer is het gewoon koers.
Ja. Okay, meeting is done. We're now gonna check the last section of the race, the finale. Half an hour to the start. Game on. At the start to sign the present list. Has to be done at least 15 minutes before the start of the race. We signed the presence list. This is the actual finishing street. So there's quite a long finish. Headwind. It's a nice sprint finish. We'll see if I can be there for the sprint, for the finish. Don't know. Almost ready to start. Just smashing that last little banana.
Eventually.
Just got back. Well, right in the beginning of the race, I got into the crash, flipped over the bars, little damage on the knee. Got some blood. I have no idea what's going on with my finger. Huh. Almost lost a nail. Well, that's only small stuff. I got back on the bike. Big gap to close. I went behind the team car and then got back into the race, but it really took a long time for me to mentally and physically get back. It really was a really hard effort to get back in that peloton. Anyway, the race, everybody stayed together pretty much till the last straight. Last 5 kilometers were chaos. Anyway, here's the footage. Alright, race footage. This is the start finish. They changed it from last year, what I heard. Normally it was a very wide street, but here it's on this pretty narrow little side street. As always, you can see the track layout at the top right. The wind this day was coming from the southwest, so you can see where the crosswind is. And at the bottom you see the power, speed, cadence, heart rate, the distance and the time in the race at the top left. So you can follow the whole race. This is where we let loose. The neutralized start was only very short in this race. So here we are all together, only 2 minutes in the race. Expectations were that the first 30 kilometers were not that crazy. We thought it would all be staying together, but still was always good to not let yourself get dropped too far back. So trying to move up a little bit to the front the whole time. And right here, this is only 10 minutes into the race. Watch carefully. Very sudden, everybody slams on the brakes. I didn't see it coming, so might have braked a little bit too late, but I went straight into it like a torpedo. I flipped the bars, and right here I just took a little minute to check the bike, see if everything is still okay, check my wheels. This is the second day I'm riding my new wheels, so I was really bummed about that. My right brake lever, my shifter broke off, so I didn't even notice. I just felt a pretty strong pain in my right hand. I was wearing long fingered gloves, so I didn't even see what was going on. I just got back on the bike and I wanted to continue this race because I was not ready to get out of this race in the first 10 minutes. So right here I'm all by myself trying to push hard and get close to that peloton, but I'm in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea where I'm going. Right here it's a bit of a gray area because the whole peloton with the police escort is way up ahead, and right here we end up in between traffic because there's nobody to hold the traffic back. And actually at this moment we get pointed in the wrong direction. We had to turn to the right at this moment, and this guy in the police suit is just pointing us straight. So here we just hit the traffic. Very weird situation. We look back and some bystanders, they told us to go to the other side. So here we turn around and we find our way back. It was a very weird situation trying to get back into the race, and then this happens. So bad luck twice already. Right here I look back and I see our team car. That was actually what I was waiting for. We are with a couple guys together, and it's very important to get super close to that car so you can draft. He's gonna go really fast, and if you're right behind him it's pretty easy to follow, but right here I have a big gap. My team buddy is right behind the car so he can draft, but I'm behind him. This is the first time I'm doing this, so I thought it would be okay, but still I'm pushing like 700 watts just to keep up this speed. We're doing 66 kilometers an hour, and right here I'm like, I'm not gonna keep up. I was blowing up already with the big effort to even try to get back. So they waited for me, and right here we're next to each other, right next to each other behind the car, and even now we have to put in a big effort to stay behind the car. Anyway, we get brought back to this whole line of team cars, and then it's a matter of moving up car by car and trying to get back to that peloton because they're just going, and the race keeps going, and it's just really important that you get back quick enough so you don't get taken out of the race. So here we're still working on that. Well, it took a while for us to get back, but eventually we got back, and I really had to recover. It was a big effort just to get back to that peloton after the crash. It really took me a long time to get mentally to get back into this race, and also to recover. I was eating, I was drafting behind the peloton, trying to get some food, trying to get some drinks to really recover a little bit. This part of the street had a lot of roundabouts. The road wasn't very wide, so sometimes it was hard to get in the right position. If you picked the wrong side of the roundabout, you had to jump over the curbs to even make it to the right place. About 15 minutes later, I figured I was feeling a little bit better, and I had a look in the front of the pack to see what's going on. It's always good to stay a little bit in front, so you can see if people try to go to the breakaway, and you can see what happens in the race. Here we go into Leiden, the city of Leiden, and there was a car in the middle of the road. Somehow they didn't take the car off the road before we approached. It was a bit of a weird situation here. Straight to the city, guys are trying to pick any way they can, almost crashing right here. It was very messy and crowded here in these little streets of the city. Another car in the middle of the road, just waiting in front of the red light, which is normal, but they should have moved this car off the road before we ended up there, because we're going 55 kilometers an hour, and it's just very, very dangerous. Alright, 63 kilometers into the race. This was a part with the crosswind. We knew this was an important part of the race, and as you can see up ahead, everybody is in a long straight line. And here there's a couple guys from Vlasman, this guys in yellow. They're trying to set up a second echelon, but right here some guy in the front decides he wants to go to the left, and the whole organization gets screwed up again. So if you manage to organize a second or a third echelon, you can really do a good job with each other to keep up with that first group. But if there's no organization, it's really, really hard. A little bit further up the race, another very narrow road, and again everything split up. Crosswind is very hard. You need to get into that echelon, and right here I was actually still pretty tired from that big effort after the crash, and I had a hard time keeping up with any group here. So we are trying to get some organization here and try to keep up with the first group right here in front. So we have a little echelon, but some guy just decides that he wants to go for it by himself. Instead of keeping the organization, he takes off and he just pretty much screws us up. In Holland we call this a matenaar. He's not a member of my team or whatever, but in this situation you really need to help each other to stay up in front and help each other just to keep the pace. And because the road is too narrow, we don't fit in that echelon that you see right in front of us. So we need to set up a second echelon, but the guy here in green, he takes off again, he chooses his own luck, and he doesn't improve anything because he's just trailing behind that echelon that you see right there. So it's just a lost case, and actually I got dropped right here. I couldn't keep up anymore, and I was too tired. Luckily there was a lot of guys behind me, and they're passing me right now, and I could join their group, which was a little bit better organized, and further up the road everything came back together because this was a section with a lot of headwind. Right here I go back to the team car because I needed some new fuel, I needed some water. My bottles were empty, and also for my teammates, so I went to pick up a few, and I talked a little bit to the team manager about the race. I was having cramps a little bit in this hard section with these echelons, and I was really having a hard time, but I was recovering slow. Right here I'm going back into the peloton to go to the teammates and give them some new water. This was all in a headwind, so the whole peloton got back together. So here I'm going to my teammate, give him some water. We are 110 kilometers into the race, 60 kilometers to go, and we end up on the same road with all these roundabouts. A lot of roundabouts. Very, very important to pick the right side of the roundabout, because before you know it, you'll be on the wrong side going in the direction you don't want to go, and then you'll need to jump some curbs like here, what I was doing. No problem, but still you need to be ready for it. Another narrow section. Just before I chose a wrong side of the roundabout, and right here I had to make up some places. I got back into like this third or fourth group again, and another hard section of the race. But in the end, everything after this got back together because there was back into the headwind, so there was no problem. 126 kilometers into the race. Right now we got very close to a section in the race where we all knew it was going to get important. The expectation was that right here on these narrow streets there was going to be a lot of crosswind. I managed to be right in front of the race. Right here I'm in fifth wheel of the race, and this was the part where we all thought that it was going to be the war. Crosswind and very narrow streets, but in the end it was a straight headwind, so not much happened. Nothing formed, nothing broke up, and it was still sort of a battle to stay in front because everybody here wanted to keep in front of the race, and it was very narrow. Right here it started raining. We have about 30 kilometers to go, and side of the roads were wet. The berms right here, you can see a guy going through the grass, poles sticking up left and right of the road, so it was very important. Check this out, to be concentrated. And this part was 25 kilometers to the finish. The pace went up. We did like 45 to 55 kilometers an hour the whole time, and everybody was racing to be in the front. Here it was mayhem, chaos. It was raining, it was wet, and everybody wanted to race for the win. And it stayed like this pretty much to the end of the race. My battery of the camera died. Here's the finish filmed from the side. In the last couple kilometers was one breakaway of a couple riders, of about 6 riders. I was a little bit too far back, so I couldn't react on that break. I ended up sprinting in the peloton that you see coming up right here. So it was a sharp left turn, and then on this pretty narrow street, I was in the middle of all these guys. I couldn't really sprint, but I still ended up in 20th place. I haven't checked the results yet, but probably again about top 20, I'm not sure. After the crash, my finger hurt a lot, but it's only the nail, so it's not that bad. For the rest, my knee is not really bad, so I'm okay. It's getting a little cold right now because I'm completely wet from the rain, so going to the shower quick and get warm again. I'm not gonna film the shower, by the way.
20 minutes later.
So fresh and so clean. Right now I don't have an official result yet, but by the time I edit this video I will have an official result, so you will already know how I ended up. So considering I did a threshold test yesterday, which is a maximum effort, today went pretty good. My legs felt good, except after riding back behind the car and getting dropped out of those echelons, but I recovered well. I can still improve in my positioning, especially at the end, and I'll try to do that in the next race. Tomorrow is Sunday. I'll do some training, and on Monday I'll be flying to Houston for work. Next weekend I won't have a race, so some time to train. Next weekend I'll fly to Los Angeles again. I'm gonna be riding with Phil Guyman. Phil Guyman is an ex-professional Cannondale racer, and he won the National Hill Climb Championship recently. So we're gonna be riding, we're gonna do some climbs, and then I'm gonna give you some tips on those climbing skills. So make sure you check that out, guys. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'm gonna see you next time. See ya!
Ga die stik nou nog laten dan?
Ik ga zo fietsen straks.
De hele tijd zo.
Oké.
Zit je in de eerste wagen?
Ja.